Welcome. You're watching the Thrift Store Rundown, winning Hollywood home on a budget. I don't want to think that my favorite holiday, Valentine's Day, will forever be associated with unspeakable atrocities of violence rather than grandiose gestures of love, but it seems to feel that way. Take for instance back in 2018, a gunman opened fire assassinating 17 individuals at the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Nicholas Cruz faces the death penalty, and his trial may not begin until the middle of this year. To add insult to injury, at around 9 o'clock p.m. this past Valentine's Day, in Atlanta, a gunman opened fire, wounding 3 individuals at the Old Lady Gang restaurant. That is the restaurant owned by Real Housewives of Atlanta star Candy Burris and her husband Todd Tucker. A manhunt is underway for that suspect. The victim's injuries are not life-threatening. I don't know if those two crimes can hold a candle to the crimes covered in this magazine, or vice versa. But what I do know is that both of these atrocities provide sufficient enough merit for me to review this. Plus, my mother and I are both big ID addicts, and we both love People Magazine Investigates. In any event, I bring you People Magazine's special issue, Crimes of Passion, Scheming Spouses and Angry Exes, The Dark Side of Love. From Drew Peterson to Lacey and Scott Peterson, no relation. From Lisa Novak to Amanda Knotts to Jodi Arias. Love Gone Wrong. True cases that shocked America. I got this for 99 cents and for 25% off, so it was about 74 cents excluding tax. Retail prices, $12.99 US, $15.99 in Canada. This was on display until June 5th, 2015. So let's go ahead and get started with the headline-grabbing crimes, the murders that shocked the nation and the world. They are all covered in the headlines, beginning on page 4. We also have Scored and Seating, Beware, oh beware, The Jilted Lover. Plotters and planners for some murder starts with a to-do list. Unusual suspects, curious tales of a skydiver, a sleepwalker, and a toxicologist. In the heat of the moment, embracing, not shunning, homicidal rage. Love conquers all. Attempted murder and maiming couldn't keep these couples apart. Beyond coincidence, more than once it's the death of a second spouse that stirred authorities to action. A passion for money, visions of riches can turn a heart homicidal. Sudden twist, just when you may have thought you knew what was going to happen, it didn't. And finally, justice delayed. As the years flew by, Mark Mangelsdorf and Ira Einhorn had every reason to think they'd gotten away with murder. They were warned. As John Wall says, by the way, he is the host of In Pursuit with John Walsh, also on ID. Justice delayed is not justice denied. He knows that particularly well. Some cases of love gone very wrong. Lacey Peterson, O.J. Simpson, murderous teacher Pamela Smart strike a deep chord that keeps the world watching. For instance, Scott Peterson on death row for murdering Lacey Peterson and her unborn child. Also, we have a sidebar called the Telltale Tapes. That is a transcript of a conversation between Scott Peterson and his mistress, Amber Frey. And there's a picture of her down below. You have her for a mistress? Oh, come on. Here's Pamela Smart, serving life in prison for conspiracy to commit murder. A teacher's fatal lesson. I apologize for the talking in the background. The Long Island Lolita, 17-year-old Amy Fisher, shooting the wife of her lover, Lugnut Lothario, Joey Buttafuoco, launching a tabloid tsunami. She was sentenced to 5 to 15 years after pleading guilty to attempted murder and was released in 1999. And has made several appearances on television since then. And then, the murder that shocked the world. O.J. Simpson, acquitted of murdering his former wife Nicole and Ronald Goldman. And yet, sentenced to 33 years in prison, 13 years to the day after he was acquitted of murdering Nicole and Ron. For what? Robbery. By now, you know the legend of Jodi Arias.
Jodi Arias took an axe, gave her boyfriend 40 whacks,
Cute killer. She knew nothing, absolutely nothing about her murdered ex-boyfriend, motivational speaker Travis Alexander. But when police in Mesa, Arizona found a photo of her dragging his body, Jodi Arias had some explaining to do before a jury and a judge. In May 2013, a jury convicted her of murder, but was unsure about sentencing, whether she should be put to death or some life in prison without parole. Because they couldn't figure it out for themselves, Maricopa County Judge Sari K. Stevens stepped in to sentence her.
It is ordered. The defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
She is appealing her sentence to the Arizona Court of Appeals. I'm pretty sure you've seen the Lifetime film about Jodi Arias. A majority of these cases were made into Lifetime films, and no film from Lifetime could do the victims or the criminals justice. But then again, why do the criminals justice anyway? How about this? Blade Gunner. South Africa's Blade Runner, Oscar Pistorius, shot his girlfriend, but a judge says it wasn't premeditated murder. He received 5 years in prison, and get this, the murder occurred on Valentine's Day 2013. That alone merits me to do this review. I should have done it on Valentine's Day, but I didn't want to spoil the mood given that particular video I uploaded recently. On the right here we have the murder of Phil Hartman. Laughter on screen, trouble at home. His wife Bryn killed her husband, famed SNL comedian, and killed herself in a murder-suicide. Like the coward she is. To this day, Phil Hoffman's legacy is with the SNL cast, past and present, and crew every day. Producer Mayhem. Legendary producer Phil Spector was known for his wall of sound recordings and erratic behavior. Then police found a body in his front hall. For that, he received 19 years to life in prison on a conviction of second-degree murder in 2009. Victim, Lana Clarkson. Case by case, Crimes of Passion pose a chilling question. How can a romance go so terribly wrong? This is a guilty pleasure read. Quite literally in some instances. You true crime buffs are going to get a kick out of this. That's why I awarded all 5 claps. This magazine gives the term shooting your shot a whole new meaning. If you do it right, may your relationship flourish. If you do it wrong, you can end up in here, which I think is a far worse sentence than any time served in a penitentiary. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the thrift side.